Okay, thank you for the introduction. My name is Rintaro Tsuda from the University of Tokyo, Japan, and my presentation title is the FE module development concerning TRIP. So firstly, I explain the background of my research. Okay, so the world is trying to achieve the carbon neutrality, and as a part of this, they are planned to use liquefied hydrogen and to develop hydrogen infrastructure such as storage tank. And the material for the tank, the austenite stainless steel, is considered to be suitable because of the host and fracture toughness. But in the cryogenic situation, the austenite stainless steel can transform alpha martensite, and this is called TRIP. And when the trip occurs, the possibility of brittle fracture increase. So, and the trip is known to depend on some factors such as the temperature and other composition and so on. So however, these four researchers have shown that the influence of stress field is also significant. And this graph shows the martensite volume fraction, and we can see that when the stress triaxiality become higher, the martensite volume fraction is also increased. So, but in the conventional FEM, elastoplastic FEM, the stress triaxiality dependency of trip is not considered. So, for more detailed analysis, the trip should be considered. So, how to develop the new FEM considering the trip. Okay, so in the elastoplastic FEM, the constitutive equation is necessary. The constitutive equation means the relationship between the equivalent plastic strain and the yield stress. So, and the constitutive equation is usually obtained from uniaxial tensile test, but for austenite stainless steel, this way is not appropriate because because the constitutive equation can change depending on the amount of trip. So, for example, if the stress triaxiality is higher than that in the uniaxial tensile test, so that the amount of trip is also increased, and as a result, the yield stress is also increased. And this is the problem. So I try to solve this problem. So I use the second method. The second method is the way to calculate the dual phase metal constitutive equation from the single phase constitutive equation and the volume fraction. And there are two phases, and they are called inclusion and matrix. And in the uniaxial tensile test, the deformation is divided into three stages. And in the stage one, both are elastic. And the stage two, the one of them elastic, and the other is plastic. In the stage three, both are plastic. And in all stages, we can get the overall stress and strain using these equations, these second equations. And so it is possible to calculate the overall constitutive equation, whatever the volume fraction is. So we incorporate this second method into the elastoplastic FEM. So firstly, we assume the matrix equivalent plastic strain, and we calculate the overall stress and strain using the second method. And finally, we check the equation 5 is satisfied or not. And this calculation cycle repeats again and again until the equation 5 is satisfied. And also it is possible to rewrite the volume fraction based on the calculated stress field and the plastic strain. So the overall constitutive equation always reflects the volume fraction. So this is the good point in this method. And next, I explain the experiment to acquire the data used in the FEM. So to use this FEM, so the single phase constitutive equation and the volume fraction are necessary. So the inside neutron diffraction experiments during the tensile deformation were carried out at 20 Kelvin and 173 Kelvin. So in this experiment, we can obtain the single phase stress and volume fraction of each phase. So this is the experimental machine. And in this experiment, we irradiate in this tensile specimen with various wavelengths neutron, and the neutron diffraction is measured. And the particular wavelengths neutron are detected strongly. So, and based on the Black's law, equation 6, and we can get the lattice displacement. And also from this, we can get the single phase stress using the equation 8. Okay, so this is the result at the 173 Kelvin. The left graph shows the volume fraction, and the right graph shows the stress of each phase and overall stress. So please note that the x-axis expresses the overall equivalent plastic strain. It's not single phase ones, so yes. And this is the result at 20 Kelvin. So at the 20 Kelvin, the epsilon Martin site is also detected, but it is difficult to distinguish the alpha martensite and epsilon martensite from the neutron peak, and also the reducing the number of phase make analysis easier. So for using the second method, so now in this study we treated alpha martensite and epsilon martensite as the same inclusion phase. Okay, so the next we try to get some value to use in the FEM from the experimental result. So we have to do two processes. The first is volume fraction fitting. It means that the inclusion volume fraction should be expressed as a function of stress trackycerty and equivalent plastic strain. And the second process is to get the single phase strain. So we don't know the single phase strain from the experiment directly. And so we have to get this. And as a result, we can get the single phase constitutive equation. So firstly, I explained the volume fraction fitting. So we assume the equation 9 to express it. So this equation is based on the Lebedev's previous research. And the parameter B express the effect of the temperature and chemical composition. And the parameter C express the effect of stress trackycerty. So in this study, so parameter C is used in the previous research one, and the parameter B is used. Parameter B is determined to fit the experiment result. Okay, next process is to get the single phase strain, and now we define the parameter alpha. The alpha means the ratio of inclusion strain and total strain, and we conduct the 3D tensile simulation using the FEM, and we confirm that there are linear relationship between the inclusion volume fraction F and the strain ratio alpha. So we assume that the alpha should be expressed a function of a linear function of F like this. Okay, so we assume that, and now I express how to decide the alpha. And now the first we assume the alpha, and using the assumed alpha, we can get the single phase constitutive equation from the experiment data. So, but we don't know assumed alpha is correct or not. So now next, using the obtained single phase constitutive equation, we solve the second equations again, and we calculate alpha again. This alpha we call second alpha, and finally we check the assumed alpha and second alpha is same enough or not. If they match, we can get the single phase constitutive equation. This kind of convergence calculation we conduct. Okay, so and this is the result of single phase constitutive equation. So using this single phase constitutive equation, we can get the overall stress and strain result, we solve the second method using the Python code. And yes, I think it's good agreement with the experiment. And this is the result at 20 Kelvin. It's also a good agreement with the experiment result. Okay, so finally, I express some FEM results. Firstly, we conduct the simulation of tensor test. And after this FEM simulation, we can get the result. It's good agreement with experiment and numerical analysis. When we use the 20K parameter, we also get the good result. So finally, I show the simulation of 3-point bending test. So the right graph show the Martin-Side volume fraction near the crack tip. So we can see that the trip occurs along with the deformation. And the right graph, bottom graph show the maximum principal stress near the crack tip. So to compare the value at the crack tip, so compare with the conventional FEM, the value in the developed FEM is higher. So it suggests that the conventional FEM does not consider the trip. So, and as a result, the stress may be underestimated. Okay, so this finalized. This is the conclusion. We developed the FEM new method FEM to consider the trip, and in-situ neutron diffraction experiment are conducted to get the single phase stress and volume fraction. And assuming the strain ratio, we can get the single phase considered equation. And finally, we conduct some FEM analysis and to get the good result. And in the conventional FEM, the stress may be underestimated at the crack tip. Okay, thank you for listening.